So why an ISP? What is there that an ISP can offer you that you can't do at your home department? Hi, I'm Jason. I'm the General Manager for Turnout Express. I'm here with Dave, our Senior Tailor and Product Development Specialist. Dave is going to walk us through some of what we do for an advanced inspection. Dave?
So with advanced inspection with the ISP that we provide at Turnout Express, we kind of wonder, what is the advanced inspection? It goes above and beyond what you can do at your own firehouse, which is your general inspection, looking at your Velcro, possibly damage to trim or seams coming unattached. These are the things that you could find after every call. With the advanced inspection, we take it beyond your outer shell, what most people do at their own firehouse. So we're going to set our outer shell aside, and we're going to look primarily at the liner. The liner is composed of a couple different components to it. A lot of firefighters don't realize that within the liner, it's actually developed now that it's to be inverted. You will find a spot within your liner that's called an inspection port. With that, we will have to invert this entire liner through that inspection port so we can visibly check both the moisture barrier and the thermal liner. With this liner here, we know that it had damage, so we opened it up for our own ease of instruction. And we opened it up at the bottom. When we invert these liners, we're looking for key components. The thermal liner, which is attached to your face cloth, and then your moisture barrier. With this one here, when we inverted it, we noticed significant damage to the thermal liner. This is why we do an advanced inspection. You notice the material shifting and piling. This could be a cause from improper washing, improper drying, or just excessive use. The damage here, worn through, is an obvious damage. Other ways that we can test this is with a light source, placing a light underneath of this, illuminating the liner, and you will see a shifting of material or a loss of material. That may constitute a repair, or if the damage is significant enough, like this one, this is a failure. On the other side of this is your moisture barrier. Your moisture barrier should be inspected regularly, like your thermal liner, like your shell. This moisture barrier we mark every time we hydrostatic test it to make sure that it's functioning properly. We're also inspecting to make sure that the seam tape manufactured has been in place properly and that it's still adhered to the seam and completing that vapor barrier of the garment. This is a moisture barrier that was removed from a coat. And what we noticed on this, and I'm not sure if you can zoom in on this, we noticed a lot of markings, dark spots within this entire garment, throughout the entire garment. What these were are contact marks. Our theory is improper washing. This was washed with the outer shell, which is not recommended by the standard because of the buckles and the snaps on the outer shell. In the motion of being washed or dried, it's striking this moisture barrier, causing holes and damage. This one here obviously is a fail. And that's primarily why we do the advanced inspection. This is the information that we're trying to ascertain in our inspection to let you, the customer, know this is still serviceable or this should be retired. So this is our Sutter device, our hydrostatic testing machine. This is going to be utilized to show the process that we do in testing your moisture barrier to see that it's still compliant. According to the standard, we test 6 areas, 3 in an open spot and then 3 areas of the seam. I'm going to use this demonstration piece that I talked about earlier with the damage on it, just so you can see how the machine works, what it's actually doing, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to pick an area that looks fairly serviceable, just to show you a positive test, and then I'll pick an area of damage for a negative test. And at Turnout, we mark our spots that we test with the date. And this is for verification later on down the road. If you wanted to check your liner to make sure that it had been tested, you can find the corresponding dates. So once I've got it into the machine, I'm going to pump the chamber up with air. There's water in this system, and we're going to give it about 1 psi and hold it for 15 seconds. So I'm going to bring that down to about 1 psi and let it hold. And as it sits here for the 15 seconds, I'm going to watch to see if there's any seepage or obvious damage where the water will spray out of this. This area here I picked is a serviceable area, even though this entire garment has already failed. So that would be a positive test. And we would do this in two other spaces in the open area, and then we'll test a seam area. And I'll show you how we do the seam. So I'd move the garment over to a seamed area where the seam tape is intact. And again, repeat the same process. Marking it, dating it, and then inflate to that 1 psi. This too would hold for 15 seconds, and we're also looking for the same thing. If the seam tape leaks, if there's seepage, the stitching might have worn through it. We have found in other circumstances brand new gear from the manufacturer where the seam tape had been forgotten to be applied. So that would be a warranty issue that you could take up with whoever your salesperson is that sold you that particular garment. So this one here again has passed. And now I'll pick an area that I know is going to be a failure area. And we might be able to zoom the camera in on this area here too so you can see this. I'll mark it just as we always do. And as I go to inflate, you'll notice that in the center where those marks are, you're going to have almost instantaneous water coming through those damaged areas. Now, if that was the only situation that I had with this garment, I could mark this spot, and here at Turnout Express, we would repair that with additional seam tape, or if it constituted, we may even do a moisture barrier patch where the moisture barrier material that you're using would be matched with that material that we have here in stock. If it's like this kind of garment where there's so much damage, this would be a failure.